Hi. So I'm Janet. I'm Tracy, Deputy Director.
Steve Curry, Business Development.
Competence officer.
So, thank you. We're really pleased to be awarded the silver level this morning. The background for New Horizons was that we were involved right at the beginning when the scheme was launched back in 2018. We came along to the event, and it was around proactively helping us to address the inequalities faced by members of the Black, Asian, minority ethnic community to access mental health services locally, which for us means Cymru Morgannwg. We started the process in 2018 when the scheme was launched, as we recognised that our services at the time were not culturally competent. From the start of the process, we have aimed to embed good practice around cultural competency into our policies and our procedures. As an organisation, we recognise the importance of cultural competence in order to make a practical, positive, ongoing difference to the quality of the mental health services that members of the BME community are offered locally. Going through the cultural competency certification process has supported us to better respond to the mental health needs of individuals from various groups and backgrounds. Being a recognised culturally competent service now will help us to respond to the unique needs of members of different community groups and demonstrate that New Horizons is sensitive to the ways in which people access and experience mental health services. We're committed to equality and diversity, and being awarded the quality mark will help us to challenge stigma and discrimination within mental health services and promote equality of access to support for all individuals in our local community. And finally, as a small local charity, there's only a staff team of 8 across the organisation. We've had staff, trustees and volunteers and service users involved in this process. We're really proud to have achieved this national award, and this is a great achievement for us, especially as we believe we're the first to have achieved this in Cymru as well. There's a quote from our chair today, who's really sorry that he's not able to attend, and he says, "We're really pleased to have received this award," and he feels that we're definitely punching above our weight. I'm going to hand over to Tracy now, who's going to give a quote.
Sabine Ingeborg is a volunteer, but she's the chair of our quality and monitoring subgroup, and she's online at the moment, so she's asked that I read out these few words on her behalf. I am proud of the commitment, dedication and hard work undertaken by New Horizons staff, trustees and volunteers in achieving the Cultural Competency Award. The employment of a Cultural Competency Officer has enabled us to focus on developing new working practices and partnerships to make our services culturally appropriate and accessible to members of the BAME community who are facing mental health issues and stigma. I would like to say a big thank you to Tony Hendrickson for the excellent and dedicated work over the last year. His knowledge and experience has been invaluable. And I would like also to thank Diverse Cymru for their excellent support they've given us in developing and embedding cultural competency across our services, and look forward to continuing our partnership working. New Horizons remains committed to taking the important work forward and further embedding cultural competent practices in everything that we do.
So we were asked by Charles then to cover a number of areas. So one of them was the difference that the scheme has made to New Horizons. And we were really pleased to receive funding from WCVA early in 2021 to appoint a cultural competency officer to support us to transform our services to become more culturally competent. And Tony was appointed to this post. But prior to Tony's appointment, we had started to embed the work into our work practices. But I'm now going to hand you over to Tony to give an overview of the difference that the scheme's made to the charity.
Thank you. And obviously, it's nice to have the praise of my colleagues within the organisation, but it would not have been viable without their commitment to actually achieving this, and also the support given by Diverse Cymru. And I have to say, and this isn't actually on the script, excuse me, guys, but one of the things, because I deliver training as well for Diverse Cymru, one of the things I will have to say about New Horizons is their commitment to actually challenging themselves, sometimes in spaces, and I'm sure it's not true of this organisations here. When I'm delivering the training, people are very resistant to come across new ideas, to look at themselves and to see where the barriers are. And one thing I've never found actually within this organisation, I'm not just saying that because I'm here, is that they've been very open to ideas and new ways of doing things and looking at themselves. And I think that's been a big reason why we're here today. I know we said earlier that we're not really interested in policies, but one thing I look at policies is that, you know, if we go on a great cruise, yeah, I'm not interested in what's going on below deck. That stuff below deck needs to work. Okay, so I think looking at policies is making sure we have the right structure to make sure that we stay afloat and we can keep on moving in the right direction. So I think before I joined the organisation, they'd already established the quality monitoring subgroup, which looked at all the aspects of inclusion across the organisation, but also with a particular focus on working with Black, Asian, minority ethnic representation and inclusion within the organisation. And since 2019, I started in 2021. Since 2019, there's been a standard agenda item for staff and management committee meetings on the work of the subgroup. So it's been very inclusive in terms of prioritising in terms of the organisation and its delivery. Staff, trustees, service users, and volunteers attended training on BME, mental health, and cultural competency. And they did that even before I got into the space, into the organisation. But new staff and volunteers have continued to attend the training. Staff have an ongoing commitment to quality-based training, for example, on rethinking diversity within Cardiff University. And also in the time I've been there, a member of staff has done the Muslim mental health course as well with Diverse Cymru. And we've also done some other broader equalities-based training as well. New Horizons as a service user and volunteer forum, and race equality has been on the agenda for discussion. And that's despite the fact that we don't have a high visibility of ethnic minorities in both in Aberdeen and which is the main area you'd be operating, but also across London and Taff. But it's still a very important part of those discussions. New Horizons has been working informally in partnership with the Valley's Ethnic Minority Services. And I actually have been attending those there quite often socially based and information-based network meetings to broaden the presence of the organisation in those spaces. And I'm grateful for the patience the organisation has shown. What we haven't done is actually said, right, we have these, these numerical targets we need to hit in this time scale. What we've done is said, I think, what's the quality of our involvement in these spaces? So members of the New Horizons Quality Monitoring Group have met with staff from Oasis to consider how we might work with displaced people in the longer term. New Horizons has allocated the room that will be used as a quiet and prayer space for organisation. Once we open it fully, we can still be opening for services in our main office in Aberdeen. Our website is now available. We have 7 digital lounges on our website. We also use it to promote other resources. For example, in Black History Month, we've highlighted a number of publications, books, websites, information in terms of giving people's awareness of the presence of Black and minority ethnic people in the UK, but also the challenges they face historically and today. Yeah, and we regularly update our information on things like Refugee Week and things like that. Mental health information is sourced from partner organisations as well. What we've actually done, we've trawled through information that's available across the UK. So, for example, rather than going out of our way to try to information, for example, on mental health, if we know Mind Cymru has that information online, we'll create links to those spaces as well. We're utilising resources elsewhere for people to actually develop those resources. Our welcome posters and leaflets have been produced in select community languages. And also, we've changed our banner stands and etc. to make them so that when people see them, they recognise that we can see them. Okay. New Horizons as representation on the board of Interlink and is supporting them to work towards a certification scheme as well. New Horizons has achieved the Picasso and now Chester Charity Equality Rank on equality and diversity as one of the 11 equality areas that we've been assessed on. And New Horizons has promoted the certification scheme in newsletters and annual reports. Do you want me to carry on? Or do you want to, anybody else? I've got a long list here, people.
we hand over to Steve to do the next section of the
We're going to do future actions. Okay. So what do we need to do? We all need to do a lot more. That's for sure. I think that's been discussed quite a lot today. So what is New Horizons setting itself as tasks to do? Well, firstly, locating and disseminating information on Black, Asian, minority ethnic groups, on cultural competency, and on unconscious bias training. So those things are kind of on now. Feedback from service users. Hopefully more and more service users from BAME communities, and that's it, isn't it? I guess that's the test, isn't it? Is people see us, people see this as a safe space and a welcoming space, and come to use their services. I think that's something that we're starting to recognise certainly through the census statistics, is that there's a big growth in minority communities in the valleys, which for a long time never really happened. So those communities need to see New Horizons as a place that's safe and welcoming. Hopefully they will come use it. So then feedback is really important. We as a charity have also very, very keen on quality marks, but quality services are more important, aren't they? Talked about policies and actions and things, but they are hopefully a good reflection of the quality of service that we offer. And Picasso, then trusted charity, is something that New Horizons has also achieved as a small charity. And promoted the certification scheme that we have some cultural competency. Hopefully that's increasing. So we're promoting that, and we're trying to talk to our communities and show them that we at least are trying. So we hold regular meetings. We're developing formal partnerships, hopefully with groups like VEMS, with Oasis, and trying to find and work with other community groups who are already there, who may be forming around, from Hong Kong and other places that are coming out. We've got to consider the census data fully when it's available. It's becoming more available now. How can we more actions that target certain communities and really foster inclusion in our organisation. And ultimately we want staff and the volunteers to reflect the community, and particularly the youth community that is Competence. Yes, Recovery College, so our timetable, Recovery College is very, very broad, includes lots of different areas and aspects. So hopefully, including courses on equality and diversity for all our students to pick up on. And then there's staff training, ongoing in terms of whether it's online or face to face, and ensure that our learning from the training is ongoing, and that's kind of shared across the organisation. Cultural competence will remain a standard agenda item for staff and the management committee to ensure that it isn't just training, it is learning, and it is ongoing, and it is turning into something, it's turning into change. So we'll continue to promote the certification scheme with our partners. That's very important, isn't it? Collaboration, I think that's been mentioned a few times today, will probably be an increasingly important thing, but we certainly need that collaboration because we haven't got the skills, the knowledge that some of our partners have. So they really need to bring that to us, hopefully. So we'll continue to do that, and we'll continue to develop our learning and our skills in engaging and involving people, more communities across Competence and Morgana. So and encourage more organisations in our area to also become culturally